What did you want to talk about? What do you got? I got some of the new video games coming out. I played that Resident Evil 8 demo last night. All that snow we got this week. I'm gonna complain about snowplows.
I'm gonna talk about some of the I guess one thing that we're really pushing for with my job when we speak to the Attorney General, the reentry program for those who just got out of prison.
That's awesome.
Oh, okay. I got my phone fixed. Oh God, that just annoys me. I don't know. I think I get annoyed. How many times am I gonna do it?
What happened to it?
I last night, right before we started watching that movie, I had my phone on my blanket. Went to the bathroom, came back out, grabbed my blanket and threw my blanket up. Phone went flying.
Done with you. What's up, knee brace? Oh, I didn't change what we are, right? Oh, I need to do that. Knee brace wants to know how the desktop is, Mons.
Love it. It's beautiful. It's perfect. It's everything I wanted.
All right. I just changed it to talk shows and podcasts. Allegedly. Change it to talk shows and podcasts. Nice. Thank you. Appreciate your knee brace.
What's knee brace talking about?
That is changed. It changed it to podcasts and talk shows. All right. You ready to go?
Indeed, I am. Always.
Allegedly. That is speeding up and...
Let me switch these.
Just let me know when you're ready.
Yep, I'm ready.
All right. Welcome to some Untapped Keg. One of your hosts, RJ Zimmerman, kind of fired up because it's not the morning time today due to some incidents. Here with my brother-in-law, Monte Ball. What's going on, big dog?
Not much. What's funny?
The way you took that drink right when I was going to ask you how you're doing.
Oh, right. No, all is well. I'll tell you what. Yeah, I'm just as energetic because, we're not at 8 a.m. So a lot more energy as opposed to, waking up and getting the sleep out of my eyes and hopping on to record.
Right. So nothing went right for me this morning. I'm just going to jump right into it. So I wake up and actually it started off like perfect. Like the first 10 minutes, kids stayed asleep, wife stayed asleep, grab my toothbrush, go brush my teeth. And then I'm about to sneak out the house, go get some coffee and get their breakfast and stuff. Cause every Sunday morning when we record, I buy them breakfast, usually from McDonald's because it's easy and their pancakes aren't that bad for you. So I go to get that. And what happens? My oldest walks out of the room. It's like, darn it. And what happens? The youngest follows him. And then 5 minutes later, my wife walks out of the room. So I'm like, okay, what's going on here? Like something's not right. Usually, Ashley sleeps till like 8:30 or so, usually when I go to get the coffee and stuff. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, you know what? I'll make some coffee. So I go to make coffee and I grind my coffee. I have some really old, already ground coffee, but I forgot I put my grinder in the sink to wash, and I didn't wash it last night. And then it's like if it's wet, all the coffee sticks to the inside and doesn't taste great. So I grab my really old coffee grounds. It's already ground, and I make it, and I'm like, it'll be fine. Ask her what she wants for breakfast. Nothing. I don't really feel like anything. So didn't go get any coffee or anything, and I've just been, my mind's been no anywhere all day.
You went
good luck.
You went straight to shoveling.
Straight to shoveling the 6 to 7 inches of snow we got last night.
Yeah, I didn't even know that we had that much snow until I left this morning to go get my phone fixed. This is typical Wisconsin for you though, man. It's, you kind of skate through October, November, December, thinking that you're going to be in the clear of getting just hammered.
And then most of January too, right? I mean, we had a little bit of snow, but most of January we didn't have very much snow. Like snowmobilers are getting mad because they can't go. Even up north doesn't have very much snow. And then this week we've gotten what, 16 inches?
Right. Yeah. There's a lot. There is a lot of snow out there today, and honestly, I don't really mind the snow like when it happens. I just get tired of it when it's still there 4 months later. That's just a problem because it turns into muddy snow, that slushiness.
Yeah, but
and then
that's how you know it's baseball season months. That's how you know it's time to bust out the glove, go play some catch, get the old arm lubricated, you know, because you gotta start with 20 throws, 20 feet, and then you do 20 throws at 20 feet and 10 throws at 50 feet. And then, you know, it's, that is the beauty. But, I'm kind of sick of these snowplows. I'm not going to lie. And it's not that I don't appreciate the job they do. I just don't appreciate having 3 feet of snow at the end of my driveway every single time it snows.
Right. Yep. Same for over here. It's, it's not fun. But hey, we know what we signed up for moving here. It's a challenge. It's difficult, but
I didn't sign up for anything. I've been here my whole life.
That's true.
Move.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. You are from here, so that's But other than that, man, all is well. I mean, I'm excited on my end about my desktop. I'm excited about my setup now. I'm excited about having faster internet. Obviously a gaming desktop, so we're booking now. We're going to start cranking some good stuff out here. I guess all in all, I'm feeling good. I mean, but I did want to jump into a topic, a serious one, but you kind of want to jump into that now?
Yeah, let's jump into it right now.
Yeah, let's do it. So one thing, guys, I wanted to chat about today, and I I guess share is, and I love you guys' feedback. I would love feedback to those who are going to watch this later, or those who may be tuning in now. Please provide some feedback. So we're here in Wisconsin. I work for the Wisconsin Voices for Recovery, and we do a lot of great stuff for our recovery community, for the recovery communities. That being providing events, that being providing linkage and resources to them from their university, education, etc. But there is one thing that we are currently working on now that I'm extremely excited about. Extremely excited about. We are gearing up to have a conversation with the Attorney General here in Wisconsin. We want to chat with him about, our goal is we want to create some new policies with those who just got out of prison. Because when you think about it, we talk about the whole being institutionalized, that being the statistics show that those who just got out of prison, I think it's about a 75% chance that they're going to be back in prison within, I think, about 3 years. So please correct me if that's wrong. But long story short, we want to have a conversation with the Attorney General about creating a program for those who just got out of prison, a reentry program. There's not really much like that. There's not a lot of focus around that. There's not a lot of care for those who just got out of prison. Because imagine this. Imagine you're on medication, you're seeing a therapist. You are doing all that you need to do to stay healthy, take care of your wellness. You obviously you do something, you wind up in prison. Well, sometimes in some cases, you guys, they do not get their meds in time. You can't go, you can't go 2 weeks without your medication. Some of these medications you can't do that. And then obviously there is no telehealth in prison, so they're completely cut off from their wellness care. And then after they serve their term, then you push them back out into the everlasting evolving world and say good luck. There's no you're not there's no programs, at least to my knowledge right now here in Wisconsin. I'll continue to do my research and educate myself on it, but there's no like aftercare. Follow this individual. I'm not saying go home and tuck this person in bed, but there needs to be some wraparound care for individuals, a reentry program to help them adapt, to help them to adjust, and to help them to obviously stay on the straight and narrow once they get out. We think that here in Wisconsin, there is a significant lack of education revolving around recovery within the Department of Justice. And so that's a conversation that we're going to have as well with that same topic, because again, when you cut these individuals off from their prescriptions and their telehealth, they are in there for 2 to 3 years and they get out. What do you expect to happen? What do you expect to happen? You're setting them up for failure. It's supposed to be a rehabilitation program. So that is kind of what I wanted to get off my chest. And because I'm very passionate about that, because if you really think about it if you really look at the overview picture, look at it from the aerial view in a sense, where one person gets out of jail, or prison, there's nothing that's being done for them, as opposed to just follow up with your parole officer. That's not enough. That's not enough for an individual. So I'm passionate about it. That's what we're gearing up for with Wisconsin Voices for Recovery, and I'm looking forward to really attacking some policies here in the state.
I'm glad you're doing that, because I mean, you think about it. The theory behind having a whole prison system is that you take people who are being, bad, negative, whatever you want to say, to society. You take them out of society to try to rehab, to try to make them see they're wrong. I mean, you're putting them in timeout, essentially, to put it in terms for my 3-year-old. Doing that for years. And then when they get out, you're just plucking them out and putting them out there and saying, okay, you're all good. Goodbye. And that's it. That's it. What, like, for
Right.
real though, what are we doing by taking people who aren't violent, putting them in these prisons that we're paying for, and then we're not helping them to become better people? Honestly, we're kind of incentivizing being bad people with the whole prison culture. So it's awesome that you're doing that. Just think about just getting a job. I mean, working for minimum wage, you're not proud of your life. You're not proud of, you go to work, you come home. What are you going to look around at and be like, this is what I want to do. I can be proud of this life. I don't have to be desperate anymore, try to make my life better. No, you're still going to look for easy ways or ways to make your life better. And you may not have the motivation to go take the long route. So yeah, that's amazing. Like, honestly, if you want a suggestion from me, like, trade schools, get these people into trade jobs in the trades, because skilled workers are what they call people in the trades. You go to tech school, you make a really good living coming out of a tech school. One year school, maybe 2. The only problem is a lot of the programs for that are away from the city. So you got to find transportation to like Beaver Dam, find transportation to like Beloit, Janesville. But even in Beloit, Janesville, it's out in the middle of the country is the main campus. So, or even like, Green Bay. Green Bay's is actually has some pretty good public transportation to get there. But, and I believe the Beloit School has public transportation to get there also, but it's just something that we don't think about. Like, especially me being a lineman, there, I think there's one line school in the state that is would be considered in an urban area, and even then, it's still a ways away from where a lot of black and brown people live. So how do you get to that school? Is part of the gatekeeping of keeping people out of those jobs. But yeah, I would that's an incredible initiative. It's something that we as a culture need to look into, is how often and for how long we put people in prison. Like, a lot of us, worst night of our lives, we don't end up in prison, but some of us do. Like,
Yeah.
Like
I mean,
sometimes, you're serving, what do they call it? They're doing their time, right? For society. And then what society do? Just spits in your face, really.
yeah. I mean, that's. I mean, you nailed it right on the head, and that's exactly why we're taking this initiative, is um, because of that exact reason. If when you think about prison, when you think about jails, that's just it. The regular person, when they think about prison, think about jail, it's a place that I don't want to go. It's a place for bad people. And that's it. And that's just where the thought process ends. I think we need to start really diving in and encouraging people to really think about it and really focus in on that process, just like you mentioned. It's like, wait a second, okay, individual does something bad, okay, does something bad, makes a poor decision in the community, has to serve time. Okay, fine. Individual serves time, but no one's really thinking about, just like I stated earlier, what was that individual medications, what what was their support system, because they're about to be detached from all of that uh, immediately, straight cold turkey for the next obviously X amount of months or years, depending on their sentencing. So there's no aftercare for that. It's supposed to be a rehabilitation process. You're supposed to, you know, lock, and I put that in quotes, lock somebody up, but you're supposed to help them, provide care for them while they're locked up. Um, have that wellness check and care for them while they're locked up, but then ramp that bad boy up whenever they get out. Because not only are you helping that individual's life, you're obviously going to be keeping people out of prisons, and you possibly can see a decrease in crime, providing people with actual programs to help them to re-enter and back into society. It's a challenging thing, very difficult. It's for some people who are institutionalized, gone for 10 years. When they come out of prison, you
It's
can't, you can't exactly, you can't expect. They're coming out with barely a support system, uh, no job, of course, and obviously it's not going to be easy trying to find a job. And so all this that I'm talking about, that we're talking about, just it all goes hand in hand, in my opinion, with recovery, because obviously individuals who are in recovery, if they relapse, do something they're not supposed to do, go to prison, and then come out, there needs to be some help for them as well, and to kind of get them back into the recovery community. So it's a conversation that we're excited for, a conversation that we're going to continuously talk about, and I'm just glad that we're opening up the discussion.
Yeah, prison reform, I would say in the past, 6, 7 years has really been front and center. And it's, starts with a lot of DAs. Your local DA know what their positions are, especially when it comes to nonviolent offenders and the bail bond process. So that's one of the easiest ways to look at the differences between white privilege and black and brown people is the bail process, because you don't have to look very far and you can see the great disparities there between violent offenders and these non-violent, really small drug charges that go through. So it would be awesome if we would stop using like the prison system like we are right now, which is, honestly, these private corporations are making money with people inside. They get put in prison. And instead, we start to use it what it was created for, and that was to try to make people see their mistakes, trying to allow people to grow. Sometimes you just need to be taken out of a situation to be able to take a step back and look at what, the real was really happening there, right? So,
Yeah, yeah, no, that's exactly right. It's you detach that individual. Well, they're already doing that now. They're detaching them from everything, which is what I want to fight for. Is let's make sure they still have their telehealth and their support system for their wellness. But yeah, you're right. Like, sometimes you got to remove that person from from society, just so they can have a very powerful self reflection period with no distractions. No distractions whatsoever. That is what it's supposed to be, but obviously we know, since here in America, I'm not sure if other countries do this. I don't even know, but obviously our prison system should not be a for-profit business. Um, that doesn't make any sense to me. Why it's a for-profit? If you think about it, these prisons, just like you stated, they make money based off of the bodies that are put in there. But hopefully Biden makes a decision. Um, administration changes that. And I think once we do that, or once that does happen, I think that will even open the door even more for some actual rehabilitation for individuals who are in there, and then some care for them once they leave. That's, I'm optimistic, of course, but I think it's a win-win. It's mutually beneficial for every single person. And, if you think about it, it's obviously beneficial for the individual who was locked up and who just got out. And then they're going to jump into their aftercare program that's beneficial to them, and it's obviously beneficial to the society, to their community that they're in. I mean, it's a win-win, and I think that we can do it. We can obviously do it. It's just right now we're dealing with greedy people. That's just what it is. Greedy people.
I think we're seeing that throughout society, right? This pandemic has lifted the lenses that we've been had in front of our eyes. That is overworking. That is, your commute. That is your
Yeah.
normal day to day life that you've been kind of fuzzy looking at the world through. We haven't realized how much we've let greedy people steamroll us. And I think that there's a spotlight. People are seeing clearer now than they have in a long time by things slowing down the way that they have for a year.
Yeah.
That's a benefit that we had of this pandemic, right? So now people are learning, they're taking the time to learn things like issues that they didn't know before. So, I mean, that's a positive. That's a big positive that we can take away as a society. We just got to do it. So now that we know about prisons, and I mean, look at the GameStop Wall Street thing right now. Like, we know that the cards have been stacked against us for a long time. Now we can kind of start to see how maybe we can balance those cards out. That would be phenomenal.
Yeah.
And Biden's already canceled, or he hasn't canceled, but he's already put out an executive order that they're not going to renew for-profit or private prisons for federal contracts. So that's a very big step in the right direction.
It is. It is, and I feel like that's huge for the recovery community, because I think it's huge for everybody, but for our episode today, and obviously all of our episodes for Untapped Cake, we talk about sobriety, we talk about recovery, we talk about recovery communities. So I think this movement that the Biden administration is doing is huge, because individuals who are locked up, some, of course, are obviously excessively abusing a substance. And I think by the Biden administration doing what they're doing, hopefully, again, that opens up the door for these Department of Justices to really understand and start to educate themselves around um, the stigma that surrounds substance abuse, and also how there needs to be more focus on addiction, just like there is for any other illness that exists. Because think about this statistic here. I think it is 80% out of obviously 100%, 80% of those who suffer from a substance abuse receive no care, zero care, zero care, because there's not really that much. Or excuse me, let me rephrase that last part. There's not a lot of encouragement. There's not a
Yeah.
lot of talk about it. There's not a lot of knowledge surrounding it. There's not a lot of people out there in organizations. There needs to be more, of course, helping to break down the stigma that surrounds it so people can feel more comfortable to open up and talk about it. So again, this whole entire picture, we're all seeing it, private prisons and how that can help. But obviously, to bring this all the way back, our conversation with the Attorney General is going to be a good one. It's going to be a good one. I think this all these topics we just mentioned, I think they go really hand in hand with everything. Just overall wellness of an individual. And we need to start with opening up the conversations with our Attorney Generals, Department of Justice, etc. So
pay attention to your DA elections. That some of them will be coming up in the next couple of years. That's where change can happen, like right now, overnight. Just a policy, just instead of holding someone for a weekend, you're gonna, let them go, and just, if they don't show up for court, then they're in even bigger trouble, right? But there's just John Legend is heading up this amazing cause that is trying to spotlight prison reform, and they started with DAs, and they've been doing a lot of good work. And I think that you'll start to be able to see the results of those from studies, and we're starting to get to a point where it's no longer a small sample size, where it's a meaningful sample that you can see the fruits of that process. And that's just, that's one thing that I'm really glad what we've embraced since we split our shows up is we're not shying away from topics. We're willing to talk about everything. You working in the recovery field, bringing up the stigma that surrounds recovery. I mean, that number really doesn't shock me, because in order to get help, you have to admit there's a problem. And a lot of people don't want to admit that there's a problem with themselves, right? So, I mean, a lot of people don't want to admit they're wrong, and you're not necessarily wrong, if you have a substance abuse or something, but you're not right. It's okay to not be right. We don't have to be right about everything. So that's something that we need to do better as myself, and I feel like a lot of people need to do, is it's okay to not be right. It's okay to seek an expert's opinion. It's okay to not be an expert about everything. I mean, I feel like I know a little bit about a lot, but I only know a lot about a little bit. And it's okay to admit that. It's okay. So I'm glad you're doing this. I'm glad you're taking this to the AG. I'm glad that somebody's picking this up, and we're doing this for the state of Wisconsin, because we do have too many people in prison in the state of Wisconsin, and we need to help people rehab so that we can build a better society. Mons, I think you're muted.
Oops, sorry about that. I said absolutely. I mean, it's mutually beneficial for every single person involved. So that's just what we got to do. And that was a very important topic that I kind of wanted to get off my chest. Just because I want this change. We want this change here at Untapped K. We want this change. We want to start talking about some policies, really starting to get some work done, and to really take care of some people, help some people out. So we're looking forward to this push, and hopefully it's a success. So that's all I got on that topic. That is what I wanted to get off my chest.
I just want to prepare you. It's going to be a long road. There's a lot of minds that have to be changed, and a lot of greased wheels that are going in one direction that are going to take a little bit of time to change those directions. So
there's a lot of people a lot of power for people who do not care about people who go to prison.
Um, that statement was almost correct. Remove that in prison or who go to prison, and you have it absolutely correct. They do not care about people.
Mm. Right.
You know,
Absolutely.
there comes a point where you just forego some ethics to get to positions. People are more and more willing to do that, and less people are willing to have good ethics to get to positions. So,
Yeah,
and it's a lot easier to see that now with social media. So,
absolutely. But I think it's yeah, it I think what's happening what's happening right now, I think is, and this even goes back to election and the election, Wall Street bets, obviously, for those who don't know, Wall Street bets was, a group of people who got together on Reddit and just started driving up shares prices. And they did it for GameStop. But I think what's going on, man, which I think is awesome, is people are really starting to understand that we have the power. We have the power. Power in numbers. A Bug's Life, the movie A Bug's Life, had a great example of that. You know what I'm talking about. When the grasshopper was talking to the rest of his grasshoppers.
never seen it.
What?
Dude, I have 2 kids under 3. I've seen that movie about 400 times.
So exactly. So when he's like, we can't let them know, if we let one ant stand up and then the rest of them stand up, yada yada. There's more ants than they are us. I think we are starting to realize the average consumer. The average consumer is starting to realize how much power we actually have if we all band together and really fight for change. And those examples that I just stated are some examples. That being the election, how Stacey Abrams and obviously many others who literally mobilized the Black and brown community to go out and vote. And look, we had a change in I think it's historical numbers from Black and brown communities when it comes to voting. This last election.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously we talk about, like I just mentioned, the Wall Street bets. You have 250,000 members on Reddit who single-handedly drove up the share price for GameStop and is now costing these hedge funds billions and billions of dollars like a day. And so what's going on right now is we're starting to realize if we all really put our minds to it, if we all really focus on change, wanting to do change, wanting to create change, we can make it happen if we band together. Because we all know the top 1%, just like you stated, the very, very powerful 1%, there's only a few like Mark Cubans who care about people. So
yes.
Long story short, we just got to focus on really getting together and making change, because we can do it. We can do it with petitions, with healthy and nonviolent protesting. We can do it with letters. I mean, all the above. I think we're really
here's
starting
something
to
that you're talking about that people kind of forget because of how it's framed in history books, because corporations have written the history books of the United States. But solidarity, brother. I'm a union member right here. And the whole thing about being a union member is all of the hourly people banded together because safety issues, raises, being able to have 8 hours off, you only have an 8-hour shift, only working 5 days a week. And now you have Europe working 4 days a week and they get more productivity because people who are happier are more productive. All of these studies that tell these corporations that they've known for years, they refuse to go after till the workforce bands together. And if you want to know why the biggest, why corporations are scared, I mean, just look at Walmart and Amazon. Anytime the union is whispered, they go right into, nope, we're going to fire everybody. They scare, then they will give you like extra bonuses for a year, and then they make sure that it comes out of your wages the next year. But like that literally happened at a job I used to work, where unions started sending around letters. Well, that year they gave us a bonus, and I'd worked there for 4 years. That was the first time we had gotten a bonus. And then the next year we didn't get a bonus, and they said they're going to give it every single year. And they were basically saying, you know, if you don't vote union, then you can have this. And at this job, we were making $13 an hour. At another company, they were making $20 an hour. So doing that, and we did more work. Yeah, we did more of it than what they did. So it was like, okay, you know, how does this work? So like, we need to band together as a working class, period. Like, union members need to stand next to their fellow workers. Look, there are very, very few corporations that do right by their workers. And the ones that do, if you want to unionize, they say, okay, go ahead. Because they have there's nothing to fear from a union.
Nothing.
Like if all you have to do is take into consideration the people that work for you.
Yep.
And that's it. Unions, like are there greedy unions? Are there bad unions? Sure. You could look at a lot of police unions. There you go. But for the most part, unions are also in it to benefit the company, because without the company, they ain't got jobs.
Exactly.
So as long as you're stand by your workers for real, like, dude, we're at another revolution as far as working class goes. Like we're getting treated so poorly. Like we're back to, you know, the late 1800s, early 1900s of working conditions, especially when you look at the rest of the world. This frustrates me the most. Third, you know, world.
Well, right.
Countries.
That's what makes it so depressing, man. And I'm just going to be real here. Is when you compare, you grow up for so long. You grow up for so long just being taught, you know, this is the greatest country. This is the freest country. This is the best country to live in. And whether you believe it or not, that's again, it's your prerogative. That's it's your choice. It's your opinion. But I think 2020, and obviously there's other points in our history that has proved it as well. That we have a lot of work to do. We're not. I mean, I think we're ranked like 100th or something like that in infancy mortality. And we're a freaking first world country. We're a powerhouse. We are the most powerful country on the planet, but we have something like that. And then obviously we have racism, which is alive and well. Grew another head last year. And I mean, we can go on forever and ever. These curriculums are bullcrap. Yeah, it's you know, let's just talk about why is African American studies an elective? Like, that's history too. So
that's American history too. Like,
yeah. So I mean, it's just so backwards, and I think what's going on right now, as I stated earlier, is we're understanding that we can make a lot of change when we come together, even if you're red or if you're blue, if you're white, black, whatever. If we come together for common grounds to make a change, it's been proven now that it can be done. These elites, and those elites are the lawmakers. These elites are the billionaires. These elites are the ones that are you know, gatekeeping for change. So I really feel like the change is coming, and I really feel like we have really opened our eyes. At least I have, to maybe this is the best country. Maybe it's just been fed and shoved down our throats for so long because it's going to cover up the reasons why we're not the best country. So I feel like we got a lot of work to do, and hopefully that change happens in my lifetime. I'm not going to hold my breath on that. I just hope that, you know, for our children, RJ, and, you know, your sons, my sons, or your sons and my son, that it's different. That is different. Now, what does that mean? As Martin Luther King Jr. said, Judge me based off of my character. I'm paraphrasing, of course. Not the merits of my skin color, uh, or no, judgment on the merit of my character. Not, you know what I'm trying to say here. My mind's really scrambled right now. But don't judge me from the way I look. Judge me off of my character. That's where we need to get to, and I hope we do. Um, so sorry, I get real passionate about that stuff, man, and I get real scatterbrained because just so much needs to be done, and we're sitting here talking about money and talking about a $900 billion budget for our military, but I get frustrated. I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Same. And I know a lot of people want to give that Gen Z a lot of credit, but it was us millennials that started it. I mean, how many newspaper clippings, how many, we could take a little bit of credit too, that the revolution did kind of start with us moving back home, trying to tell people like this economy is not great. Corporations are taking advantage of us. You shouldn't have to be sick and going into work. You shouldn't have to be worried that if you miss one day of work, you're going to lose your job. Like, that's not okay. It's not okay to go to work and be treated like crap. Like, it's okay to go to work and have a little bit of fun, no matter what you do. It's okay to laugh.
Right.
It's not okay to live to work unless that's what you want to do. Right? You shouldn't be forced to it.
I'm glad you brought that up. And I guess the entire topic that we're covering today is just that overall wellness. And I think it's I'm glad you just brought that up because when people are afraid to miss or work because they're sick because they think they're going to get fired. That is the country that we live in. The United States of America. People are afraid. I mean, we're talking about the masses. We're talking like 95% of those working class.
You have women that'll give birth working a $13 an hour job, and they have to go back into work the next week, leave their little baby that's a week old because they will be fired if they don't. In the United States of America.
Yeah, exactly, man. I saw somebody over in, I think it was England, I believe, maybe. But another, really, really great country, first world country. They tweeted they were actually baffled and blown back by how us Americans on average only get about 6 days. Because the whole conversation was
off a year you're talking. Yeah. I saw
that person was blown away, and that just goes to show us like we don't even realize it. We're just so accustomed and just so conditioned to looking at the paperwork when you're getting hired and knowing, okay, 10 sick days a year.
No, usually it's PTO. Usually that's paid time off. So then you get it's not just like it's not just your sick time, it's also your vacation time. It's 2 weeks. So it's 10 days. Yeah, so if you're sick, that comes out of your vacation time. If you want to take vacation, that comes out of your sick time. What do you do?
That person was, I'm talking, and they were like, wait, you guys are serious? And obviously Americans were like, yeah, that's the norm. They were like, what about, you? And they were like, well, when you're sick, you're sick. When you're sick, you don't go to work. End of discussion. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Here, it seems like if you're sick too many days in a row, you got to
get a doctor's excuse.
Video record your doctor's appointment.
you gotta take video of you throwing up. Then you gotta show what you threw up. You gotta dig through it and say, "Oh, this is the chicken I had last night for dinner."
Exactly.
But
that I'm telling you, man. When I read that, I was like,
There's a video out there. It's sad. Along the same lines, and it was in England. Somebody did look it up. It's people asking. People from England how much an ambulance ride in the United States costs. And their first question, every single one of them, wait, that costs money? And then they were blown away. And then after that, they talk about how much it costs to have a kid in the United States.
I did see that video.
And that one, again, minds are blown. And it's like, why would you stand for that? In the United States? It's like.
So it all makes sense. I mean, we're talking about this is all that wellness that we're talking about. In today's day, everybody can agree. It seems like this country is way more stressed, way more polar opposite. There's just very distinctive polar opposites. Stubborn, anxious. We can obviously talk about,
Yes.
well, we're not going to talk about, mention the school shootings, the violence, everything. And just like you stated, it's hard nowadays. It's expensive. It's the average person. You can't live off of $12, $13 an hour. You in today's day,
You can't even live off of $15 an hour.
Yeah,
but that's what we're going for.
Exactly. And that's just the thing is, it's going to take a lot of time, obviously. And that's the thing. What that person said, they posted a quote. And obviously, America is a capitalistic ran country. Capitalism is the foundation of this country. And the quote stated, it said, "No, you're not a capitalist. You are an exploited worker with Stockholm syndrome." I was like, whoa.
That's so true. I haven't heard that before, but yeah.
I was like, whoa. I was like, that
Listen, you kind of hit me in the heart. It's going to take a second for me to recover. Woo.
I said, that kind of cut deep right there. You are not a capitalist. You are an exploited worker with Stockholm syndrome. How, as an American, can you debate that? How can you argue with it? How can you dispute that? How can you fight that? How can you? And that just, again, this wellness that we're speaking about, from the Attorney General, from the Department of Justice, to the actual American, to the consumer, it needs to be a change. There needs to be a giant or a massive or initiative of reform. It's going to take time, probably like 100 years, but hopefully it gets done.
You never know. Like, things have changed in the last 5 years very, very quickly.
That's true. I think it
could happen, and you can start to see it, but also you're starting to see a lot of normalizing of things that were never normalized before too. So as far as what you get from representatives in the government. So
yeah, I mean, I think it, like I said, I think this is an awesome conversation because it's, in one way, shape, or another, everybody is impacted by this. I mean, everyone's obviously, I mean, if you have a job in America, you're impacted by what we just stated about you're not a capitalist. You're an exploited worker with Stockholm syndrome. That's just unfortunate, but that's just the reality of every American who has a job, based off of the perks, quotes, air quotes, that come with the job. Oh God, I get 2 weeks of vacation. I think they get like 10 weeks in Europe. But long story short,
on average, I believe you're right.
Yeah, I think it's 10 weeks. Could you imagine?
I'd be so bored. I would get everything done that I needed to get done, and then I'd have time to do I don't even know what. I mean, enjoy my kids. Who wants to do that? This is America. We don't enjoy our kids.
Right? Imagine that, man. Every single year you're like, okay, I'm gonna have 2 vacations this year. Where are we gonna go?
Well, here's the problem though.
Each vacation.
The problem is you don't get paid enough to take 2 vacations in America. So that's why they can't give you that time off.
Because they're like, where are you gonna go?
Yeah,
you don't have the funds.
Oh, you're gonna take vacation and come into work and work for free? Okay, well, we'll take it from you. That way you don't have to stress about having it.
Well, we'll buy you lunch.
Wait, your work buys you lunch?
They do actually. Yeah. So,
I make fun of my boss all the time.
I have a good job, so I want to stress that just in case if anybody from my job sees this. No, I obviously enjoy my work. I enjoy what I do. I just express how passionate I am about our next steps. But I think the conversation that we're having, I think it goes hand in hand with the whole wellness, with the whole reentry from prison, reentry into society from prison. Excuse me. About just helping out, just help us, just help us. Don't just shove an employment form in front of us and say, "Oh, fill this out," and then shove us into the job and say, "Good luck." No, I think we really need to start asking people, like, "How are you doing? What are you looking for? What are your goals? Are you achieving your goals this year? Like, is there anything that I can do to help you out? How's your kids doing? Are they stressing you out, or are they making you happy? How is your partner helping you?" Like, we're losing that touch, and I think social media has a lot to do with that. Um, but we're losing that. We're losing that big time, and I think it's showing in other aspects of society, that lack of empathy, that lack of conversation, that lack of a a one-on-one, like, really heartfelt conversations that seem like we used to have 10, 15 years ago. But nowadays it's
I don't know.
Twitter.
Those never really did happen though. Like when you think about it, you still have
Didn't
the
you?
same heartfelt conversations that you had before. It's just it's romanticized because of how it was before social media. Like you can still talk to your friends and stuff. Like I don't know. I played some video games with some friends last night and we talked about a lot of stuff that has to do with a lot. Like I freaked my buddy out that the Bears traded for Deshaun Watson and he instantly lost everything. Like he almost had an aneurysm. And he's, are you, where's your source? That can't be happening right now. I'm like, I'm joking. I just wanted to hear you freak out a little bit. But I don't know. I think that if you look at 10 to 15 years ago and you look at the conversations that you have the ability to have now, but maybe you just choose not to. I think it's about the same as what was done back then. I think that we just use social media as a crutch because they are doing some shady stuff. But I don't know if we're as out of touch as people
I think
like
it's
to lead us to believe we have been.
Well, yeah, I think it's a little bit of both. I think there's a fine line here. I think I got to do more explaining on it, because I do agree with what you're saying. Obviously, you still have the opportunity to still sit your friend down and talk. I think, but I guess essentially what I was getting at is when we talk about the algorithm that is used for Facebook, how social media now can literally keep you in your own little bubble,
Yeah.
your own little pod, and you don't even know it. You're not even aware of it. So I think just living in that virtual pod is it's like a cage for our brains, or like a cage. I'm only going to see what I'm interested in, what I was interested in last week, and what I'm interested in now and 30 minutes ago. Topics that revolve around that, just to further you know enhance that echo chamber.
Yeah. Jim Jones and the People's Temple, I got a story for you. that wasn't happening over social media. Like this stuff, Scientology didn't start during social media.
That's true. Good old L. Ron Hubbard.
So those have always existed. It's just easier to see now.
I think it's just easier now to manipulate people. It's easier now to brainwash people with the power of social media. But yeah, I think I'm agreeing with you on that though. I think you still have the ability today to obviously sit your friend down, spouse, whoever. But I think you're right. I think just by how it's not advertised, it's not encouraged to become vulnerable. It
never has been.
That's true. Because Twitter, to me, in my opinion, Twitter is literally just a battlefield of.
Depends how you use it.
Screaming.
I use it to get my news from.
Same here.
I get the headlines and then I go search what I need. Right. So
Facebook
I don't really use it to. Facebook is Facebook.
Right. They on Twitter. It's literally just a war zone, just a battlefield of who can scream the loudest.
I use Reddit more like with how I used to use Twitter. Like I'll just scroll through and click on stuff and see what people say. But you also know there that people aren't being serious with 90% of their posts, and
on
You get a
Reddit.
little scared for the ones that are serious. Yeah.
And I think that's why I
Reddit
never
is
jumped
hilarious.
I think that's why I never jumped into the Reddit realm, though, is because you just don't know what some of those links are.
Yeah.
Those links on there.
Well, it doesn't take you to other places unless you literally click off of it. So,
yeah, I don't know. It's all in all, I guess bring this bad boy full circle. Uh, recovery, sobriety here at Untapped Keg. It's not, again, we're not.
Go for it. You're going to do it way more eloquently than I can. I'm sorry.
Oh, no,
you're
good.
My ADD kicked in.
You're good. You're good. All I was gonna say is we're not, we're not just touching the surface here. We're not just grazing the surface and leaving it at that. We're not just saying, oh, stop drinking or stop using and go speak to a therapist. That's not it. We're talking about everything from prison reform to the wellness of the individual. And obviously, when we speak about wellness, employment is huge on the wellness of Americans. It is. 80% of those who are significantly stressed out today, I can guarantee is probably stressed out because of work, or maybe because they lost their job because of the pandemic, and they're just getting screwed by unemployment, taking 27 years to get them their money. I mean, so I think this conversation is important. Yes. I think the way that we took this conversation is important, just so that we can let our listeners know that we're going to be diving deep. We're going to be talking about some policies. We're going to be talking about actual individuals too. Josh Call, Attorney General here at Wisconsin. Wisconsin Voices for Recovery is coming for you.
You best get ready.
Not
hey, Josh,
threat.
Which way is the gym? Is it that way? Is it that way? Let me show you.
That way. Not a threat, Mr. Call.
I got a little disco ball right here.
We would just love to have a conversation with We just want to have a conversation, but we're going to be pushing some things here at Untapped Keg. So please let your friends and family know. We want this to be a conversation. We're going to start using Discord to create different channels like prison reform, or if you want to hop in that community and chat about that under Untapped Keg. Video games, sports, obviously recovery. That being obviously if it's alcoholism or opioids, etc. It's just going to be a giant platform, a world for us to come in, us to dive in and to help each other out and to make some changes. Understand where some people are living in the country, dive into their policies there and see what we can do. Because just like I said at the beginning, we are now really starting to see if we come together, we can make some things happen. I'll shut up.
Definitely. One thing that I just want to reiterate here too is we don't believe that sobriety is about the one thing, right? That you're sober from. Like it's everything. Right. Everything in your life has to do with it. That's the one thing that we've been screaming since we started the podcast was it goes to how you watch TV shows, how you watch movies, how you listen to music, how you play video games. It goes to everything. So it's okay. I mean, that it's a big change, right? It's not just the one thing that you're taking away. Like that one thing was intertwined in everything in your life. And it takes a little bit to untangle it all, So that's where we're at. That's what we're going to talk about. But
I like it. I mean, if this we're going to bring some people on too. I'm going to try to get some senators on. I promise you. And that's doable. We can most definitely make that happen. We're going to make a change one way or another. That's just it.
I agree. I'm very excited about this. And I love the content we've been making since we split the sports out. It just, both of them, it allows us to use our energy for both, where we were kind of splitting ourselves. Now we get to devote it to both. So it's been, this has been awesome. But so we have that serious topic. Let's lighten it up a little bit. Let some people laugh. What you been watching lately? What you been playing? You got your brand new desktop. You want to talk about that? You've been telling me every hour of every single day, dude, this desktop is coming on Saturday. when I get this desktop, I'm gonna set it up.
Yes.
We're going ham.
Yeah, it's a beaut, Clark. It's a beaut. For those who may not know that quote, go a good old family vacation, Christmas vacation, excuse me, Griswold. I've been playing. I haven't really been watching a lot. I mean, I'm still, watching
Vampire Diaries. That's your guilty pleasure. You don't want to talk about it, but you're doing it.
You're right. That is my guilty pleasure right now. It's actually not bad. It's cheesy, of course, but if you get past the cheesiness, like I stated before, and understand the story, you can appreciate it. You know what you're getting when you get into it. So I'm not gonna pump it up and say it's the greatest ever. But my desktop, man, I've really been playing with this new desktop, Mordhau. It's Mordhau. I'll be streaming that later today, but I love it, man. I see why people get PCs and play PC games because I don't know. It's hard
because
to
they don't know how to use a controller.
It's hard to explain it because so we use Discord with the community with like Mordhau and the games that we play, and I'm like, okay, I'm now seeing how all this ties in. I'm like, this is some overlapping stuff in a good way. So many layers to it, like creating a community for just one video game, and everybody in there's playing the video game. I'm like, that's some pretty cool stuff. And you can actually talk to people like audio. I'm like, this is sweet. But playing Mordhau, I'm currently downloading the Master Chief Collection, each game, 1 through 6, I believe, can't remember. But that's it, man. I mean, I will now with my desktop. I think I'm gonna. Oh, I don't know how my desktop's gonna play into that, but some God of War is still on my list. It is.
Yep.
Still on my list.
Okay.
It is. Well, why? What have you been playing?
I've still been dabbling into some Mass Effect. Like, I really need to like dive into that game because I looked up how long it was gonna be, and it's a lot bigger than what I thought. Like, people are talking about how in open world games with like the PS5 and Xbox Series X, how open worlds can be bigger. And all I keep thinking is, no, I want a smaller experience. I want it to do everything in like 50 hours. I don't want a 120-hour game. Like, that doesn't fit my schedule.
No. Well, how long was Witcher 3?
Dude, you could play that game for like 300 hours.
Yeah,
like, for real.
I stopped playing it.
I think I put 120 hours into it, and I didn't do all the side missions and all that stuff. I did a lot of them, but I didn't do all of them.
I don't have that. I that's why I stopped playing Witcher 3. I think I put in about 4 hours, and then I checked to see my progress, and I was only like 7% in. I was like, yeah, this is not for me.
Yeah, it's just, I love like dense open worlds. I love, like Horizon Zero Dawn is a very good example. Like, it's a pretty big map, but there's a lot going on in that map. There's a lot of fast travel spots, and you can do everything in that game in like 40 or 50 hours, but it's focused. Like, give me something that's kind of focused. Like, an MMO is more that you want with an open world where all that stuff, that randomness can kind of happen. Like, you're still going to get randomness with an open world, but it doesn't have to be so open-ended that it's going to take 100 hours. Like, we don't need that anymore. The focus is like, man, that's kind of where it's at. But like, I've been playing Hades too. That game goes on forever too. But that gameplay loop is so addictive, and it's on my Switch. I just throw it on, I'll play for 20 minutes and then put it back down. So
I was about to buy that last night as I was I use Steam.
Yeah, Steam.
And I was looking through some games and I saw Hades and I was like, oh, that's what RJ's playing.
Yeah, it's the gameplay loop on it is awesome. The sound, any Supergiant game, like, dude, the soundtrack is second to none. It's just I love their soundtracks in Supergiant games. They do an amazing job. But I played that Resident Evil 8 demo, Maiden, last night.
Is that nice?
I don't know what it is about like Resident Evil, The Last of Us. I really like that that feeling that it gives you, that anxiousness, right? When you're like sneaking around. The demo probably took me 15, maybe 20 minutes. It's beautiful. It's really beautiful. It runs amazing. Like the ambience is just, it's so, it makes you a little more than a little bit nervous. It may you know, it definitely is full of anxiousness, but it's really cool. It sets up a really cool world. So that makes me want to play Resident Evil 7.
I mean, obviously Resident Evil, who is that, Capcom?
Yes.
Obviously they're doing something right, because I mean they're 8 in. Ugh. I never really liked Resident Evil because you get like 5 bullets. Here's 5 bullets and good luck.
That just means you don't know how to ration them.
Nope.
Yes.
No.
You just.
So I'm sorry, if I see a zombie coming at me, I'm shooting them.
Well, some of them you're supposed to just run around. They're zombies. They're stumbling.
Yeah, I guess they do that in Walking Dead and all that stuff, which makes sense. It makes sense, because I mean, if you're 10 years into an apocalypse, yeah, assuming supplies are going to be running low.
You should play the Resident Evil 2 remake, because that'll change your mind.
Is that the mansion?
No, it's the police station. And they just remade it, and
that's the best one.
It is one of the.
So that's the best one.
That's what they've said. Yeah,
mm-hmm.
It is beautiful. Like that's what I think. I'm very sure that that's the first game that used the Resident Evil engine, and man, is it gorgeous! It is one of the. It still is when you play it. Is one of the most beautiful games. It's I really recommend that one. It's probably I want to say 7, 8 hours to beat probably. So. Maybe 10, and it depends on how you play, but
that's not bad. Last of Us 2 was like 10 hours, right? 11 hours.
Last of Us 2 was like 25, 30.
Was it oh yeah, it took me 22 hours. Yeah, I know memories. As soon as you said that, yeah, 22 hours.
The first one was like 12, and then the second one was double. So yeah, that makes me excited. Like I'm starting to get to that point. Sometimes I get to it where I play a bunch of different games. So like last night we played some Rainbow Six. I love that game just because of how quick some of the matches go. I don't know. I just feel like there's no BS in it. You die, you know how you died. So that's kind of like, yeah, that's one thing that I like with it. Also, I don't try to be God tier in that game, because I'm not anymore. I don't have enough time to devote to video games that I can be above average. I'm below average, and I'm okay with that.
But okay, I mean, yeah. Resident Evil, Mortal, obviously Rocket League, Rainbow Six.
You need to focus on that God of War, though. I'm gonna replay that game. Watching you play it, seeing a bunch more stuff on Twitter about Ragnarok, and then like other people replaying it.
Ooh.
As soon as that PS5 update comes, which is probably going to come with 60 frames per second, dude, I'm jumping in that game again. That game is so good. I want that story again.
You see how I do it, though? I didn't play Last of Us until 2.5 months before Last of Us 2 came out. That's how I like setting it up. Because as soon as I beat Last of Us, I was like, oh, that is amazing. Now I only have like 6 weeks away for the second one. Perfect.
That's what you say. That's what you say. But it took a lot of begging, and it took me sending you YouTube videos for you to beat The Last of Us. How to beat that part?
No, just that one part, because I was confused, thinking that I had to run around to find the key card, but I didn't need to do that. I just needed to.
I think had the key card already.
Yeah, I already had it. So I just needed to get to the door. So when all the zombies came, I thought I had to kill them all.
Right.
So, but anyways, yeah. I can stream God of War, huh? Yeah. I'm just playing games that are streamable. Quote. I mean, obviously every game is streamable, but
You could stream it, but there's a lot of story parts that you need to focus on too, so that you don't miss where you might
True.
miss talking to the chat and stuff. So it's something to
True.
think about. But there's a lot in that game that you could stream. Like, I mean, there's a lot of like little side quests and exploration that you can do.
That's true. That's true. Because I'm gonna start streaming. I go in these phases. Now I'm in this medieval type phase where I love Mordhau now, and God of War has that vibe to it too. So absolutely. Other than that, what else? What else? What else? You're not really playing much else, huh?
No, I'm watching Warrior on HBO Max. That's I really like that show.
What's that one show again? You always watch the game creators. It's on Apple.
Yeah, I've only watched like 2.5 episodes, maybe. What is it called? Mythic Quest. It's called Mythic Quest. It is pretty funny. It is. I kind of like it. It's basically making fun of Blizzard, so which is okay to do right now because turns out Blizzard's not a very good company. But
they kind of fell in the rankings. What's keeping them alive? What's keeping them alive?
Well, I mean, Overwatch, World of Warcraft, Diablo. You still have all these games. It's just
so Diablo and World of Warcraft is keeping.
Well, no, because they had that card game too, Hearthstone. That one's huge.
I got you.
So I got you. And Overwatch is still massive.
Okay. But yeah, man, I love the video games. Got my desktop now.
I love them video games, kids. Come play with me.
I'm gonna be gaming a lot now. I'm gonna make myself sick tonight.
We'll see. You keep talking it, and then last night I invited you to Rainbow Six to learn how to play, and you're like, "Nah, I'm good. I don't want to play any games tonight." You said, "I don't want to play any games tonight."
No, that's not lying.
I'm gonna go watch some Wonder Woman 1984.
Jesus, no. I told him I was playing Mordhau. It's addicting. You would get addicted to it too. I know you would.
Probably. So I stay away from it.
it's. I mean, for it to grab my attention like that, because again, I have a very poor attention span when it comes to video games, obviously. And then you're talking a PC. I'm like, okay, PC game. I played longer than I thought I would because it's awesome. The mechanics. When you start to see some people and like how good they are. First off, it's hard. Controls, sprinting and swinging and parrying with the other click. When you start seeing some of these folks ducking under your axe swing and stuff and then jumping and kicking you in the chest because you can do that, I'm like, how are you guys doing that on a PC? My fingers can't move that fast. Like, that's remarkable, as opposed to it all obviously being condensed on a controller. They're like sprinting, jumping with space, kicking with F is kick, and then landing and parrying with right click on the mouse. All within the matter of, it's like 1 second. And then ducking with control. It's how you duck with control. Now, I'm saying that because obviously everyone understands, a basic keyboard.
Well, yeah. But they probably reprogrammed their keys so that it's all like right in the home row, or like all right in that one spot.
Yeah, so like W is forward, A is left, D is right.
Yeah, WASD. That's what they call WASD.
Yep, WASD. I think I'm going to change that. I think I'm going to change it to these arrows. I can just use the arrows. All right, but anyway.
I think there's a reason most people use WASD though, because it's easier. But you do what's best for you.
It's by the shift, which is sprint. Although, the arrow keys are by a shift too. But anyways, I like it. And I'll be streaming that. And there's a pretty big community as well. Big community with that.
That's awesome.
That's all I got, man.
Yeah, I haven't. Trying to think what else I've been doing. Like, I just thought of a show the other day that I need to get back into, and I can, for the life of me, not remember what it was. And I'm like, geez, I still have to finish catch up on The Expanse. I still need to finish the second season of The Boys. Like, just no time, not enough time in the day to do anything. Right. That's the biggest thing that I think our generation has realized compared to the generations that came before us, or maybe they realized it, but they didn't do anything about it. Our time is more precious than our money. Right. Yeah. So we're trying to do something about that. Whereas I feel like the previous generations realized that their time was the most precious, but they needed that money more. So.
Right. I mean, yeah, I like that. We're starting to realize it's, 66% of your life is spent in bed. Literally. No, not 66%. That might be right. Actually, let's just say 50%. And then obviously let's throw work on top of that too. 40 hours a week. So let's just say 2/3 of your life is for sleep and work.
Right.
Where you left with 1/3.
That's why it's separated into 8-hour shifts. So 1/3 of your days at work, 1/3 of your days at home, 1/3 of your day is sleeping. That's why they say 8 hours of sleep, but that's not necessarily true.
Right. Exactly. So we're left with 1/3 to hang out with our family, build a family, start a family, hobbies, travel, as in vacation. We just got that little slither of time to take care of our mind. So yeah, you made a good point.
Is there anything else you want to touch on, or?
No, man, I'm ready to play some more. All
right, we won't keep you then. So, where can they find you, Monts?
You guys can find me at MonteBall28 on Twitter, MonteBall Instagram. Obviously, our Untapped Cake pages as well. Please, you guys, if you feel inclined to do so, please send us a message, topics, shoot us your phone number. We'll reach out to you if you are celebrating your milestone for your sobriety, or if you're down in the dumps, we'll reach out to you. We're here just to provide. Where can they find you, Roger?
I'm at It's Trickster on Twitter, ITZ. The I in Trickster's a 1. Also, we just updated our website because apparently that was down. We're still in the middle of getting it all updated perfect. Yeah, we did a lot of work this weekend, and we still have a lot more to go. Just remember, we're a couple of amateurs that are trying to figure this out on our own, which may or may not be the best thing. So we're starting to use resources finally and not just winging it, which is kind of interesting because it makes things easier. It's kind of weird how that works. I don't know. So what else did we do? I had something else to talk about and completely. Captivate. Discord.
Captivate too.
Yeah, join our Discord, please. Mons was talking about it earlier. Yep. It really is the easiest way to stay in touch with us, get a hold of us, and honestly, you can find out what we're doing in our free time there too. So we'll keep recording some short videos that we're posting on social medias. Just Google Untapped Keg and it'll take you to something of ours. So let's try to be better tomorrow than we were today, because at least if we failed, we tried. And that's all we can do. So everybody, you have a good week. We will talk to you next week.